Last time when she rose the waves, I drove the almost 2,000 kilometers down to Sedna, through Denmark, Germany, and picked up my crew in France before reaching Port Saint Louis in the evening. We spent the next day servicing the engine, taking care of the windlass, we built a mast stand, and we finally got the aft head working. And we also ended up with the last dinner at Le Yacht Club before, well, stay tuned and find out. Hi, I'm Linus Jackson, a sailing musician and father of two, trying to get my boat Sedna home to Sweden for a major refit. And in time, I plan to be a full-time liveaboard and world traveler. Join us on this journey. Good morning, people. It is Friday, Easter Friday, Good Friday. I don't know, but we are soon going to be picked up and moved to the careening area so we can clean up the bilges and then hopefully go into the water. So we got a few O-rings from the chandlery so we can check if the water separator can stop leaking.
So yeah, here's the last preparation we're doing. Everything has to be tied down, sort of, so we don't fuck anything up. So we're moving things around and we'll make this work in a really clever way, I hope. But closing in.
So his job is to do the dishes.
Yeah, like a true man, like a man of the 90s.
I'm going to go and get a new... I'm going to get a new starter battery, and Pelle is going to see if one of the O-rings fits so that the filter down there, I don't know if you can see it, stops leaking diesel all over the place. Alright, let's go. Goodbye, Yacht Club. Gonna miss you guys. Alright, let's go find a new starter battery. Alright, I found the new starter battery. Heavy duty. So let's go install it, see if this helps. Okay, then go in there, I see. This, to me, this feels like this should be rubber pieces and not wood pieces. But okay, we'll see. Do you feel that we're ready? Well, here we go. The tractor is here. So, ready or not, here we go. Looking good. The boat is on the tractor and we are keeping our fingers crossed that nothing annoying happens. I know they know what they're doing, but it's always nerve-wracking anyway, as all of you boat owners know. But now we have to go to the careening area and clean up some from the bilge. Yeah, so we're trying to get rid of the oily diesel water in the bilge. We're also making coffee. And the bilge pump is doing its job. And after a short lunch break, let's get started on preparing the rigging for dismasting before the tractor starts up again and bring us into the Mediterranean for a last short dip in its salty waters. Okay, we're in the water. That's a major success. Doesn't seem to be any leaks, and the next step is to get the masts off. It's not sinking yet. It still hasn't sunk. That's a good sign.
Dude, we're not on the boat because of that.
Yeah, that's true.
We can hear the bubbling.
Okay, people, time to get the two heavy-ass masts down on deck.
Alright, we're in the water and the masts are down, and now I'm going to pay. Yeah, that's the good part, the fun part. So, payment, and then I guess we could leave. Maybe we have to repark or to do some small shit like that, but pretty much we're ready to leave.
Indeed, we were ready to leave. With great excitement, we left the dock and the Port Navy Service boatyard where I reluctantly had spent the winter. We pointed our bow through the canal, and just as we did in the end of July last year, when we came in from the passage from Corsica, we headed towards the marina at the end of the canal, to finally go through the first lock and into the river Rhône, to head north. But instead, this is when things started to go south. No, wait, it was actually even earlier. Let's rewind. Our first mishap occurred earlier in the canal, just after we left the dock by the boatyard. Unfortunately, we didn't film it, but I'll try to explain. You see, we launched Sedna over here, went to the mast crane, and then head west into the canal to stop for fuel at the new fuel dock before moving into the marina, into the lock, and then north up the river. Easy. Well, if we zoom in a little, you can see that the new fuel dock is located about here. The idea is to just glide into the dock with your starboard side, fuel up and be done, right? Wrong. Because just before the fuel dock, about here, is a heap of very conveniently placed rocks under the water, just where you turn in towards the dock. And of course, we hit those rocks with a huge bang. And the force of the hit turned our nose straight into the concrete dock. We did manage to stop us there without damaging anything major, except maybe our egos. But as if that wasn't enough, the pumps didn't even work, and after a lot of swearing, we had to move on without filling the tanks. Instead, we moved to the dock by the lock and ran up to a gas station with our empty jerry cans. And that's when the next problem occurred. The captain of the boat behind us on the dock told us about the lock in Boulogne, just north of Avignon, being on strike. He also said that the water levels in the lock here in Port Saint Louis were too low. It would probably take days before we could get through and up the river. And even then, we would only come as far as Boulogne because of the strike. And although he was right about the strike, the rest of it was some kind of weird disinformation. The lockkeeper didn't seem to think our draft would be a problem, so we decided to move on with the locking at 7 p.m. as instructed.
Okay. Waiting for that bridge to open. And then we'll see. The bridge is opening. So the dude behind us told us that we can't get through. So let's see if he's right.
Luckily, he wasn't.
Now you can see the doors from the lock under the bridge there closing up. Now it's closed. And then they're opening up on that side. Doesn't seem to be very much of a height difference, but
Can
a
you
few
tell?
centimeters maybe?
Yeah, can you tell?
So far so good, first lock done. No problem with the water levels. But that wasn't the end of our troubles.
For now, it seems to be going pretty good.
Yeah, jinx indeed. At first, we were all pretty happy and figured it couldn't be that hard to find a place to stop for the night. You see, pleasure crafts are not really allowed to drive at night. But the only place, and I mean that literally, in the vicinity for mooring turned out to be for large barges and ferries. And after 2 tries to tie up to some huge pollards that almost ended up in a catastrophe when we got stuck with the tip of the mast and started violently drifting backwards, we took the only, for us, viable option and decided to keep driving anyway. I do understand why you're not supposed to drive at night, because the visibility is truly horrible. Pitch black and no lights on the markers. There is, however, reflective plates on the markers, which meant that one of us always had to be on the lookout with a torch. And it also turns out that our charts were quite off, and some markers showed up in real life that wasn't even on there at all. Quite stressful indeed. But then the moon came out behind us and helped a little with the visibility. We just kept driving into the night until we finally arrived by the first lock, where there was a pontoon we could tie up to. Tired but relieved, we finally stopped around 3 a.m.
Okay, yeah, we had to drive the entire night because there were no place to stop. So we finally made it to one place we could stop, which is just by the lock, Jocke. We actually drove through the night, not really, but almost 6 kilometers, because we couldn't find anywhere to stop. That's why.
We blame the captain.
C'est moi.
So we are finally on our way north, and tomorrow we'll go up the first real lock and things seems to have turned around. But alas, the troubles hasn't even begun. But that will have to wait until next week. So for now, check out our social media, our Patreon page, give us a like on this video, and don't forget to click the subscribe button and the little bell, so you don't miss out on next week's adventure.
So that's tomorrow. And until next time, take care.